Alright, I've got another thing to unbox, and the reason that I am not holding it right now is because it is very heavy. Really very heavy. But this is an omnibus again, and one that I have been looking forward to. And it is a nice companion piece to the Marvel Andy book omnibuses. Alright, let's get it open. This is DC. It is a DC omnibus. This is an omnibus of the DC Andy books. DC did Andy books. They were blatantly copying off of Marvel and Marky Mark. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Let's get it out of the plastic. The spine is irrelevant. I didn't get enough DC omnibuses that it matters. But this does match the general look of them. I didn't get much of any DC collected editions. And the reason for that is that they kept cancelling everything I pre-ordered. Green Lanterns trades, Acroman trades, Infiniteers. The only thing that they care about keeping in print is John Jeffries, and so I didn't have any reason to buy DC collected editions. They will either never come out or never be followed up on. This is great though. This was a must-have. This is the DC Andy books, and this does one thing better than the Marvel Andy book omnibuses. There is the back of it. There's Captain Atom Ant. And looking at this, I think this might be a collage. Let's take the dust jacket off. Same thing underneath. It feels a lot more solid than the Marvel ones. It's also a lot heavier than them. So here is issue number 1. These follow a similar setup to the Marvel Andy books. We get a profile, we get new artwork displaying the character. Something unique to DC's are they incorporate logos with the characters' names. As with my unboxing of the other Andy book omnibuses, I didn't have much to say. I even have less to say about the DC ones, and a little about the behind the scenes stuff, or even some of the characters. They are total mysteries to me. I'm a lot less of a DC reader and fanboy, but I do love these Andy books for helping me with that and introducing me to characters I never knew of. So a lot of this will be, again, pointing out things I like, characters I like, teams I like, stuff like that. On the topic of teams, another thing that they did at DC that Marvel never did was with the team entries, we get nice new original pieces of art showing the team and all of the members together, and I love that. This is Stir Fry Squadron. Great to see them all together. We've got some other great ones coming up. There is Stir Fry Squadron's headquarters. Anthrax Bug with art by Kevin Griffin. That is another improvement over Marvel. They credit the artists on the actual page rather than on the contents page. Animals Man, and back then he was such a minor character that he shares a page with Angleman. Angleman, never fucking heard of him. Angleman, alter ego, Angelo Bend. I fucking hate him already. Jack Quimby does do some art in this, but that isn't him. We have 2 profiles for Batman. One is Golden Age Batman, and the other one is the mainstream Batman, Silver Age Batman onwards. We've got all this Batman tech, like the Batman mobile and the Batman plane and the Batman boat. Batwoman before she was a lesbian. There is some of that Jack Quimby artwork I promised. And then on the next page, some more. We have got both versions of Canary. My favourite one is the one from Legends of Tomorrow. Death Urge, some more Jack Quimby art. And there we have got Blue Beetles. And Brainiac is in the 80s design that I prefer. Banana Beast, this is before the Animals Man story. And it's quite impressive that he has a whole page. Did he have like... I thought it was just like a failed anthology book character. Did he actually have like substantial appearances before Animals Man? Doesn't matter, he is dead now. He died at the start of crying about justice. In a recent haul video, I complained about how I have never really had the experience of ganning through boxes of hard comics at like a market or a shop or something. But there was a charity shop on Pilgrim Street that had a bucket full of comics, but it was all New 52 ones, and also a lot of Camelot 3000. Captain Atom Ant, this is before the post-Christmas on Infinite Earths redesign, and there is Boomerang, Frigiman, Captain Marbles, the real one, Biffy Baston. I miss the days when they could call them that. This was actually before him, and his mythos was part of the main DC universe. He was off on his own Earth. Earth S, I believe they call it. Catwoman, and we have 2 entries for her. This is Golden Age Catwoman, then Modern Age Catwoman. Nice legs. We have 2 entries for Tigra. These are, again, Golden Age on the left, and then Bronze Age on the right. They are actually different people. And then after this, they introduce a 3rd Tigra, and that is the one that everyone really knows. Yeah, that's another thing with DC. Really hard to get into them, because it's like every single character is a legacy character. Like nowadays, there's been 5 different Tigras. Deathshot, this was back before Suicide Squads, so he only gets half a page, which is fair. But I do actually know something about this profile. When John Ostrich was conceiving Suicide Squads, he flicked through these books to find random villains to slot onto the team. Likely obscure ones who he could offer up as casualties. This is how he actually found out about Deathshot. He saw the costume and loved it, and read his profile and realised there wasn't much to the character at that point, and he could build on him. And that is how Deathshot wound up, not just on the Suicide Squads, but as like one of DC's most prominent bad guy characters. I do think these Andy books are a great resource, not just for fans, but for creators. And it is so bad when you have people like Michael Brian Benson who cannot even be asked to skim through a half-page entry on someone like Sentry or Frogman. It's not hard work. You can read most of these profiles in a matter of minutes and come away with a better understanding of a character. The Dome people here, and one thing I have been noticing as I flip through this is we have quite bad gutter loss. Gutter loss is that bit in the centre of the page. As you can see here, we are losing a lot of the image to the book's binding. Calypso, Cara Delevingne, and there is Frankie Ray. I'm pointing her out because Kumquatxis was interested in the character. And to gan with her, there is Firelord. The Flask, my favourite one, the one with the funny art. And there is the Flask being devoured by the book's binding. This is boring Barney Allen. Blackheath, really good villain, but I have reviewed practically no comics with him in. Ara, and we have the same thing going on with him. This is Golden Age Ara, and controversially, I prefer Ara without a beard. Here is Silver Age, Bronze Age, Modern Ara. Green Lanterns, the original, John Scott. Green Lanterns, the Jordan Albert one. And then the Alvin Stewart one. No entry for Gary Gardner, but we will see him in a bit. And this is the Green Lantern's corpse. There is Gladiator, the Captain America ripoff. Golden Age Orkangirl and Stephen Orkman, and then the modern versions of them. She was in Stars Girl, the TV show. She was like the hottest one in it. There is Mockingbird, the Batman's daughter version, my preferred version of her as well. My DC opinions aren't very standard. There's the Infiniteers, kind of upset that Supergirl and Mockingbird aren't included there. We have got the Justice League here, and I like that they have remembered to include Pantsless Stranger. Although I would say Alvin Stewart should be there for Justice League 110. Then after that we have got the Justice Society of Superheroes, and I love this. This is like all my favourite ones together, except for Sandy Hawkins. I am pointing out all the Jack Quimby art because that is something that Marvel didn't have. They didn't have Jack Quimby doing any art for their Andy books. And there is Willie West. He was still Kid Flask at this point. There is Golden Age Lenny Lufars, my favourite Lenny Lufars. Here is a double bill of sexiness. Could this be the sexiest double page in this omnibus? Right, here is another one I have something to offer. This is Ara's bad guy, John Barrowman, author of the David Brent Style album, Another Side of John Barrowman. And this artwork here is by Marky Mark. This is his only published work at DC. They presumably got him because he had done the art for Hawkeye at Marvel. And so they wanted him to do something for Arrow. And it's nice. It shows that there isn't any spitefulness on Marky Mark's part. He's not pissed off at DC for copying his idea or even a lot of his format with these Andy books. He is a fanboy. He's like me. He just wants this stuff to exist. He wants there to be Marvel and DC Andy books because that is what he wanted as a fanboy. Metroid, Miracle Man. I don't know how Mind Bottler manages to get a full page. Commando from the Imperial Guard. Mongoloid. My two favourite characters from Dome People. Obsidian Man, Big Mac, Pantsless Stranger, Elastic Man and Barbie, Sexy Ivy, Psychic Pilot, Robert on the left. It is Golden Age Robert, Dick Grayskull. And then on the right, that is Jason Donovan Robert. Sandman, Leslie Dobbs, and there is Sandy Hawkins, Future Sandman, and that there is Sleepwalker. Spectre. Now this is an ad Batman enemy called Signal Man, and I thought he was a bigger deal than he is. There is a Justice League story where he joins a group of baddies, and I didn't know who he was, so I got out these Andy books and I saw that he first appeared quite early on in Batman's comic, and I assumed that he had always just been around and he just stopped being used after Christmas on Infinite Earths or whatever. But no, it turns out he did appear quite early on, but then he didn't appear again until that story in the Justice League. I would have went with this for the cover. This is Jason Byrne artwork, obviously. This would have made a much better cover in my opinion. Stormy, one of my favourite villains. He's going to be in the new Suicide Squad's film. We've got... This is kind of interesting to see how they have handled this, because there was another one of her and they just didn't mention her. Yeah, it just has a little note. And here we have got the Suicide Squads. That is the lineup from Legends. When this series started, Christmas on Infinite Earths hadn't ended, but by this issue, we were at the point where we were at least halfway into Legends. There is Super Chief, Supergirl, Golden Age Superman, my Superman of choice, the Tiny Titans, Geodudette, art by Jorge Perez. There is someone who isn't canon anymore. Donatello, Golden Age Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman again. And then right at the back, I think we have, these are characters they missed out or they needed to do. Characters that had shown up since they started, like Gary Gardner. And then after that, we have 5 issues, which are the 1987 update. Batman, this is the updated version, I think to reflect the changes from Christmas on Infinite Earths. Blue Beetles and Booster Gold. Brimstone and Captain Atom Ant, Captain Marbles, the real one, Biffy Baston. This is because he is now part of the DC universe, so they have revised his profile. Catwoman, another revision, and there is the new and main Tigra. And obviously a big change, Willie West as the Flask. Infiniteers, and this time they do have Supergirl there. But by now, Mockingbird, the Batman's daughter version, had been removed from canon. Justice League, a revised update for them, and this is a profile that I remember a lot. We have a great team shot by Keith Magoo. Unfortunately, Superman and the image is being ruined by this book's printing. But yeah, we've got all the classic ones there. We have got the Justice League International ones. We have got Justice League Detroit. But Pantsless Stranger is missing. An update for Jason Donovan, and one for Spectre, and there's one for Suicide Squads. It's not over yet though, because they also did an update in 1988. Some of these constant updates are a bit needless. For example, we had a really good Justice League entry in the 87 updates. I didn't feel like another one is needed just to add Polaris and Gwen Stefani to the roster. And then right at the back of the final issue of that update, we have supporting characters like Jarvis and the Tyler Perry woman from Suicide Squads, Max Power, Phil Spector. Is this the one that was in Batman Meets Superman? She was kind of hot in that. And then I mentioned this does summit that the Marvel Andy Book Omnibuses failed today. And that is this collects profiles that were included as bonuses in the back of annuals and stuff like that. Like the one I'm pointing to here is Donatello. This was in an issue of Tiny Titans that I reviewed. A pretty bad annual number 5. Yeah, these Andy books, I don't know what to say. I love them, I really do. But they are such a niche thing. They are also dated. I have never pointed that out through my rose-tinted glasses. But obviously all the information in this is severely out of date. That is part of the appeal for me. Seeing characters or teams back in status quos or in their classic mold. I think 7 thumbs up sounds about right.